Hey everyone, I hope you're having a good evening. I am bringing this video to you not technically live. Well, actually, there's nothing technical about it. It's not live. This is a pre-recorded video because I had another commitment tonight. But I did want to go ahead with this class for you. This evening's video is quite a special one because it's the start of the new Stampin' Up! Year. So Stampin' Up! Year runs from October to September. So as part of this new year, I've been setting myself new goals and new challenges. And one of the things that I want to do is for everybody who shops with me, I'm going to provide a free card class. So for everybody who placed an order with me in September, you should have received through the post the items to make 3 cards. And that's what I'm going to be demonstrating tonight. These are simple designs. The measurements will be available on my website as well. And all of the components have been sent through to the people who order from me. If you would like to receive next month's class free of charge, then place any order with me via my website. You can see it below at shopwithemma.co.uk or contact me and I'm happy to place an order. I will also be providing this to everybody who orders from us either in advance of the show at the SEC in Glasgow at the end of the month or at the show as well. And in addition to this class going out to all of my customers, it's also going out to my team. So if you have ever considered joining Stampin' Up! And would be interested in being part of my team, either as a business demonstrator or a hobby demonstrator, then please do get in touch because we've got a fantastic offer that's on this month and I'd be happy to give you more information. So enough of the talky bit. I'm going to swing the camera around and we're going to go through 3 simple cards this evening that are a good way for you to use any designer series paper that you've got and hopefully dig out some of those sentiments stamps that you've got as well. So first up, the first card that I'm going to make is this one here. I've called it a tag card, although technically it would be also be called a shuffle card. In the pack that you have received, you'll have something that looks a little bit like this, which will have the components at the bottom. It'll have the instructions along with this video link. It'll have the list of everything that I used in the card, and then a handy page at the back for you to write any notes or comments on it that you choose. Just want to point out that for this particular card, 2 of the items are on the last chance list, so they are heavily reduced. It's a good time to take advantage of that, and I will go through that in more detail as we're crafting. So what do you get in your little envelope? So what's in mine is slightly different to what's in yours, but you will understand that hopefully as we go. You have a card blank. You've only got one. You'll have a piece of ribbon. So this is the woven white 1.5 inch ribbon. This ribbon is on the last chance list. It's currently reduced to £3.60, so it's a very good deal. You'll have a punched out shape, which is the to the point label punch, and you'll have not 3 layers like this, but 3 pieces. So let me explain to you how this card works. These pieces of designer series paper, it's from the Turtley Cute designer series paper, and I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the turtles. On one side of them, don't get me wrong, they can be quite cute, and I know that there's some people who really love them. Let me know in the comments if that's your sort of thing. I got the pack of paper more because I was interested in the other side. I love music and singing, so this music notes piece, and there's music notes along the bottom there as well. There was a few different patterns that I really liked. So these layers are cut to, so each of them, they're all cut the same size, and they're 10 centimeters by 14.3 centimeters. It's important that all 3 are the same, because what you do is you get your trimmer and you put all 3 layers, you make sure that they are completely aligned with each other, and then you stick it into your trimmer and you make a diagonal cut. You get that piece that comes off, and then turn it around and do another diagonal cut. You don't need to be particularly precise or exact about the measurements of this, as long as those 3 layers are exactly aligned when you cut. And you end up with something, a shape that looks a bit like this. And then, this is where the magic happens. This is also why it's sometimes called a stack and shuffle card. You take these pieces and you shuffle them about so that you have 3 pieces like that. So in your card, you will have 3 pieces of designer series paper that look like this. And now you can see how I did that. What I am going to do then with these 3 pieces is I'm going to stick them to my card blank. So you have a card blank that is pre-cut, pre-scored. Everything in these classes will be prepared for you. Just an added perk. Of course, you've still got all the measurements of what all the pieces are size. So if you want to do this particular design with your own designer series paper, you can. What I'm doing is I'm sticking this first piece down, and I find it easier to do the bottom piece because it fits across both corners at the bottom, and it's cut so that you will have the same gap along the bottom as you do in both left and right sides. So as long as those sides, those pieces there, are the same distance, then your other 2 pieces will fit in perfectly. So next I'm going to stick this one on. I'm going to press it up right close to that join. And we will see, yep, so it's the same along the side as it is along the top, the gap. And then the final piece, we stick on just using my trusty Tombow glue. Glues are not included in your class. I hope you have glues already at home. But we stick the 3 pieces on to get our card base. Next, you have got a stamped out shape. Now, Stampin' Up! Doesn't allow us to send stamped images. We can send punched out images and dies, but we can't send stamped images. You can use any stamps you choose to put on your sentiment. The one I'm using is the Bright Borders stamp set, which matches and coordinates with the To The Punch label punch. The Bright Border stamp set, again, in the last chance list, is currently reduced to £5.70. That's 12 stamps for less than £6. That's less than 50p a stamp, which is a very good bargain. Sometimes people like to stamp and then punch out, and I will be honest, that is usually my preference too. But I have given you the punched out images, so we're going to attempt to do this way around. In fact, we're going to make it easier on ourselves. Let's line this up. Because the photopolymer stamps are quite sticky, that actually lines up quite nicely. And I can put that on. And now I just need to do the stamping part. Will this have worked? If not, then we're going to abandon this outer edge. Do you know what? It has worked. You don't have to do a stamp quite as intricate and complicated as I'm doing. You can just do whichever sentiment will fit in that shape. I am going to, though, just because I'm a crazy person, I'm going to replicate the one that I'd done before. So the first stamp is done using Granny Apple Green, because that's one of the colours that this particular set of papers has in it. So next I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo. It's got this cute little flower on it. So let's do that. The top and the bottom. You'll see that I am turning around my punched out shape rather than turning around my stamp. That's just because that's how I find it easiest. If you feel happier turning around the stamp, you do that. There is no right or wrong way to do this, just whatever gets you the result that you're looking for. And then finally, I'm going to use my thank you, and I'm going to use this in Balmy Blue. So this is the same shade as the card blank, and again it coordinates with the colours in the designer series paper. Those of you who know and love Stampin' Up products will know that their coordination is one of the things that they really do shine on. So, all right. Once you've got your sentiment, I'm going to take my basic white ribbon and I'm going to stick it to the back of my tag. I'm going to stick it down using foam dimensionals. I'm going to use 2 there, and then I'm going to do 2 at the top as well. Before I peel them off, I'm just going to turn this around and I'm going to cut my ribbon into points like so. Lovely. Then I'm going to peel off the backs of my dimensionals and then stick my sentiment, and I want to cover this join portion here. And that is my card finished. Now, optional, if you've got some gems or bling that you want to stick on there, you can. It looks very pretty without it. But that is our first card. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is that the sort of card that you like, that you would find useful? Would you make it yourself using other DSP? Right, moving on to card number 2. And we have this one here. Now, this card I am calling a circle card, imaginatively named because it's got a circle on the front. As before, you will have the instructions inside, where it tells you everything that's used in the card. And then you've got the components as well. And so for this card, the designer series paper is called Lovely Garden. It is also on the last chance list. So we've got some really, really good bargains for you here. This particular card I've done in 2 different variations. So you might have the green background with the little yellow flowers. You might have the yellow background with the green flowers over the top. But either way, you take the larger of these 2 pieces. This particular piece is 14.3 by 5 centimeters. And I'm going to stick that to the top of my crushed curry base, like so. Then I'm going to do the same with the smaller piece, which is 14.3 by 2.5. And I'm going to stick that along the bottom. And it leaves a gap in the center, which I'm going to cover up with the darker piece. Now, both of these bits of designer series paper from the same pack of paper, and it's a really good way to use up that designer series paper, because if you're anything like me, you've got mountains of the stuff. I always seem to love it and buy it faster than I actually craft with it. So I have cut out a circle of crushed curry using my 2 3/8 circle punch, which is absolutely manky. I don't know how that got so dirty. But yeah, my 2 3/8 circle punch. Just punched out a circle in crushed curry, and then I have run it through the Eyelet 3D embossing folder. And so all I'm going to do next is stick on a couple of dimensionals, 3 to be precise. When I say I've run it through, in your packs, you will receive a circle that is already been embossed using a 3D embossing folder. So, and I thought the little eyelets one went really nicely with the flowers. So you can, of course, use your own ones if you wish, but I have provided ones for you. Next, I'm just going to use a scrap of basic white, which when I did this card before, I just used a scrap that was lying on my desk. And now I can't find where it went. So let's just cut another scrap and use the stamp. So the particular stamp that I've used here is the Blooming Phrases stamp set. And I've used the Hello There sentiment, which I'm just going to mount onto my block, and then using the Garden Green ink, because again, that's the colour that coordinates with my DSP. Right. You will notice, perhaps, that I haven't told you the measurement of this basic white strip. You also don't have the basic white strip in your kit. I'm hoping that the crafters amongst you will have your own bits of white card. In fact, if you're anything like me, you've probably got mountains of the stuff. And you may even have offcuts that would work for this particular card. But I haven't given you measurements because it depends very much on what sentiment you use. So I have used this particular sentiment, and then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put it into my trimmer and I'm going to trim it down. I'm going to start with the bottom first. I'm going to line it up and trim along. And then I'm going to line my bottom piece up with my trimmer. I do love our trimmer. And I'm going to cut that too. So then just using scissors to cut both of the ends. I might leave that one. Happy enough with it where it is. And then I'm going to stick my sentiment on over where the circle is. Now the way that I'm going to do that, because I stuck the sentiment on with foam dimensionals, I'm going to put some tear tape on one end, and then I'm just going to cut off the edge of the foam dimensionals. Do you ever use these edge pieces as well when you want something that's just a little bit thinner than a full dimensional? And I know we have the small mini dimensionals as well, and they are great, but waste not, want not. You've got all those bits on the edges, let's use them. And then I'm just going to position that on my card. And there we go. That's my circle DSP card. And you can see it there in the two different colorways. Both sets of papers are in your pack, so you might get yellow flowers with a green strip, you might get green flowers with a yellow strip. So let me know what you think of this card. Do you like it? Is it one that you would use yourself? Drop me a note in the comments. And now we are on to our final card, which is this card here. It is a Christmas card, and I'm calling it a half front card because it's only got half a front. I think it might also be called a gatefold card for some people, but I thought these free card classes are always going to have a Christmas card in it. No matter which month we are, it's always going to have a Christmas card, because there's this theory, if you make 10 Christmas cards every month, then by the time you get to December, you'll have over 100 Christmas cards. So if I can give you a design of a Christmas card every month, we'll be doing well. So what's in your pack? You get, as before, the instructions, you get the what to do, and you get all of the component pieces there, and all of your bits are pre-cut for you. The pre-cut bit is extra useful because I have cut for you the half of the card. So you get the piece that's already pre-cut, but it still says in the instructions how much to cut away. For the record, 5 centimeters. And you leave a 5.5 centimeter strip there. Okay. Next, you've got the DSP pieces. So this is the Elegant Pine Snowflake DSP that sits along the front there. And I just wanted to show you this. When I was cutting it, I took the full sheets of DSP I layered up the 3 that I was going to use, and I cut them to, it is 2 inches, although if we're using metric, then we can call it 5 centimeters. But I cut through all 3 sheets of DSP at the same time, because the Stampin' Up! Trimmer can handle that. And I cut them into long strips, and then I turned it around and I cut it at, so it's 4.5 centimeters or 1 3/4 inches. And I cut all the way up. So if you're doing multiples, as we often do with Christmas cards, this is a really easy one to prep and do for multiples. So before I stick these bits down, I'm going to stick this down first, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to show you. So I've got my basic white layer that I'm going to stick onto my real red layer. Again, picking the colours that go with the DSP. And then my real red layer is going to go inside my card blank, like so. Your layers are pre-cut for you, so all you need to do is stick them together. Right, once you've done that, fold the front flap over and then line up your pieces of DSP. It will look better if you line up this edge here with the red edge of the layer inside, okay? So don't just space these out equally, because then you'll end up with big gaps in the middle and that doesn't look quite as nice. So still just using my trusty Tombow, I'm going to do the left-hand side one first. And so the piece is spaced evenly, top and bottom, and it lines up along the left-hand side with my real red layer there. Then I'm going to do the same at the right-hand side. I'm going to do this piece. I realise that just by fluke, I've ended up with almost an entire snowflake on this piece. I didn't on my sample one, as you can tell. So it's just been a coincidence as I've been cutting all the pieces that I've ended up with a full snowflake. Once you've done your left and your right pieces, then you want to do the centre piece. And the centre piece, you just make sure that you have spaced it evenly top and bottom and evenly left and right. There we go. Finally, to finish this off, you're going to get another scrap, using lots of scraps today, aren't I, of basic white. And I'm going to do my sentiment. So, actually, yeah, this one, I'm going to cut it to 1/2 inch because that will make it easier for the next bit. So for this particular stamp that I'm using, I want to cut a strip that's 1/2 inch. Now, if you're using the same stamps, use 1/2 inch, but you can use any sentiments you've got. There are no sentiments included in the kit because you have a lot of sentiments, you have a lot of stamps already. Use the ones that you've got. You've got so many lovely things. Enjoy them. So I'm going to line up my Merry and my Christmas. And I'm going to stamp this using real red. There we go. Next, I'm going to take my snips. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to measure the same distance that I've got on one side of the sentiment and do roughly the same on the other side of the sentiment. Okay, so now my words are in the center. And then I'm going to take my snips up maybe about 1/2 centimetre and then go from corner to centre to create these little tails. And I'm going to do the same at the other side, in the centre, and then corner to centre, like so. So now I've got my sentiment. What I'm going to do next, I've given you a piece of the shaded spruce gold edged ribbon, and I'm going to stick my sentiment directly onto the ribbon using tear tape. I do not recommend you use a wet glue, don't use Tombow to stick stuff onto your ribbon because it does not work well. Whereas tear tape or another dry glue, you could use seal, that works much better. Okay, next, and I'm using my fancy ribbon scissors for this one, I'm going to do the same fishtail effect, always going from the outside in. There we go. You don't have to do this fishtail effect. If you prefer, you can leave it just as a straight edge. I think that would look nice too. But this is an optional technique that you can do. Make sure your scissors are really sharp, but do not cut yourself because blood is the wrong shade of red to go with this particular project. There we go. Okay, and then once you've done that, going to put foam dimensionals along the back. I'm going to use one on either side and one in the centre, and then going to stick this to the front of my card, again in the centre, like so. There we go. And that's my half front card. Right, so out of the 3 cards that we have made today, these are the ones that you can make with the October class, which is coming out in the post to everybody who purchased from me in September and also to all my team members. Do you have a preference? Are these designs that you like? Please let me know in the comments. I may not be doing this live, but I will still be watching. And please let me know what you think. Hi to everybody on Facebook and on YouTube and wherever you're watching it. I'm really glad that you're here. Okay, so thank you very, very much for joining me this evening. I hope you have a great rest of the week and I shall speak to you next time. Take care. Bye.